So tonight I want to do a discussion about something very, very important: um, suicide. Now, I have personal experience with this aspect of life that we take for granted. Um, I want to start out by saying that in 2004, my aunt Tina actually committed suicide by swallowing a bottle of pills. Now, she actually was my most favorite aunt because she was so witty and so manipulative in a positive as well as a negative aspect, and she brought a lot of illumination to my life. She was actually one of the most influential persons in my life that helped me become the man that I am today. I was actually talking to a colleague of mine today. His name is Charles. And he came to me with some ideas on how to actually get this this movement, get some momentum for this movement, the advocacy for schizophrenia. And schizophrenia doesn't only mean hearing voices or having aberrant thought or just being different. It just it's not something you just deal with. It's a lifestyle. Okay. And one thing I want to impress upon you tonight is this: don't ever give up. I know I've talked about in my previous journals, web journals or video journals, that don't give up. One thing I can say is, if you are considering suicide, you really need to rethink your plan, because as human beings, we need to have a plan. As effective members of this society, we need to have plans. As individuals, we need to have plans. And so I wrote up back in 2017 a plan for my life, which is called a 10-year plan. Now, granted, it's a plan is always something. It's a blueprint. It's not something that's set in stone. Now, if you're gifted enough and determined enough, you can take that plan and make it into something wonderful, and follow it for years to come. But the point I'm trying to make is that you should never give up on life, because it says in the Bible that if a man endures unto the end, Jesus will give you a crown of life. Okay. And so what I want you to do is, if you're thinking about suicide, you're even thinking, considering, or even having the prospect of doing something like that, rethink your plan. I want you to realize that you are a beautiful human being. God created you in his image, which means he has a multitude of images. Me, myself, I happen to look the way I look because I was created in his image, both mentally and physically. Okay. And so we each have our own aptitudes. We each have our own talents, our own skills. And if you take your life prematurely, you're actually silencing that voice that you have. You can take schizophrenia and be subdued by it. Or what you can do is make it like a scarlet letter. The scarlet letter at first was a badge of shame. And once she realized, the main protagonist, once she realized what the scarlet letter was, it was a badge of honor. All right. So what I want you to do is, if you're struggling with schizophrenia and you're thinking of ending your life, you need to rethink your plan. You need to think, I am valuable. I am worth the time of others. My life is worthwhile, because you have something to contribute to the planet and to the universe that no other person on this planet can ever contribute, because you are a unique flame. You are a unique human being, and you are a unique individual created in the image of God. Okay, now we all have our perspectives. We all have our roles in life. I feel like my role is to document my thoughts, my philosophical thoughts, my existential thoughts on schizophrenia, because schizophrenia is not only just something that we deal with, or something that we suffer from. It's the things that animate us. It's the things that create us and allow us to create our universes, because we hear voices. We have strange thoughts. We have, um, we have our beauty. We have the things that separate us from other people, that make us stand out and define us as human beings. So, literally, if you're considering suicide, you're really robbing the world of all of the beauty that you can bring to this world. On top of that, you have the people that are left behind. Okay, so when my aunt committed suicide, she not only ended her life, but she ended the relationship that I had with her. She ended the opportunity to spend time with her, to allow her to see the man that I have become to this day. Okay, I think it was selfish. I think it was unfair. I think it was narcissistic. I think it was the wrong choice. But unfortunately, in life, when you're looking from the exterior, you can't see what that person is going through. So if you're considering suicide, you need to talk to the people around you so that you realize that you are not alone. Okay? So that you realize that you are worth the time of others. You are worth the time of God. And that God is worth the time of you because you were created in His image. You were created as a unique individual, metaphysically, physically, spiritually, mentally. Should never give up on yourself. And if you do, and you decide to take that final leap prematurely, unfortunately, in the end, you lose. There is no winning with there is no winning with suicide. Now there can be triumphs with schizophrenia. There can be failures with schizophrenia, but the thing is that if you get up every single day and you make your bed and you follow your plan and you say, you know what, this is what I'm facing today. This is what I'm facing. I'm facing hearing the voices all day long. How much the job is going to exhaust me mentally and physically. Our relationships with other people, whether they be placid or turbulent. The expenditures of energy on a daily basis from moment to moment to moment, because with schizophrenia you don't only go through 1 or 2 episodes a day. You go through an episode from moment to moment, from second to second, and you have to deal with that. You have to actually endure and have some sort of perseverance and endurance, because when you live as a schizophrenic, you it's like a seesaw, up and down, or like a push and pull, or like a tug of war against yourself, because even though we suffer from other people, mainly we suffer from ourselves. Ourself can be our greatest ally or it can be our greatest enemy, greatest protagonist or greatest antagonist. And we're either the thesis or the antithesis of ourselves. We define our lives. We define our projection of life. We define our moments both mentally, verbally, physically, visually. And ultimately, if you decide to commit suicide, then you lose. And everyone around you loses the opportunity and the privilege to see the beauty that should come from you and you alone. There was a young girl when I was working at a company called Path Forward. She was one of my clients, and it's funny because, here I am, the schizophrenic, helping the schizophrenic. That's your irony of the night. I of course held a job down where I was helping people with mental and physical disabilities find employment. And I remember my boss calling me up one day, and she says, her name was Ashley, and she said, one of your clients killed themselves, And I remember looking at her picture online for her obituary, and I'll be honest with you, I started crying. I started weeping because we were robbed of her company, and she robbed us of the further opportunities to see that beauty shine. That candle was extinguished, and that life can never be brought back. So, what I recommend, all right, this is just coping tools, coping mechanisms, is that if you are considering suicide, please consult your family, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your best friend, your family who are friends, and your friends who are family. Do not, do not make that rash decision without considering what you have to lose and what other people are going to be robbed of, what other people are going to lose. Okay? So also talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist. I recommend that if you are going to walk this life as a schizophrenic and never give up, you need to have resources. You need to have people that are around you, that you're surrounded with, that will edify you and pick you up when you fall. Okay, you need to consult a good therapist. Therapy is by far one of the most beneficial resources and reservoirs of energy that we can actually get from anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a very one-on-one, personal, even private experience. And there are some things that you say in those sessions um, with your therapist that you don't say to any other person on this planet. You know, it's very seclusive. Okay, I myself happen to have a doctor that was a genius. He was a genius, and he led me back to the light. In the midst of all the darkness that I was enveloped in, he led me to the light. So, make a long story short, don't give up. Peace.